First place Tennessee. This telecast available on ESPN HD, presented by Dish Network.
Rivalries, the driving force in sports, the source of timeless classics, spanning generations, defining their time, and within, the games evolve. New chapters are written, new heroes emerge, but the lines never change. It's Rivalry Week 2006.
Tennessee close to upsetting the nation's fourth-ranking team. Here's Ernie Grunfeld, the shot. Tennessee by 5. Kentucky with the ball. Pass Grunfeld counts the clock down. Tennessee has beaten Kentucky.
Whose side are you on?
4,000 packing Rupp Arena for the 200th meeting between the Volunteers and the Wildcats as we welcome you to Super Tuesday, presented by Lexus. Number 14, Tennessee, 16-3. The Wildcats are 15-7. And these two separated by 2 games in the SEC East, led by the Volunteers. We welcome you to part of Rivalry Week, presented by Cisco Systems in Lexington. Dave Barnett, joined by Jimmy Dykes. When Bruce Pearl took the Tennessee job, he said, one thing we need to do at Tennessee, with Kentucky, for that to happen, we've got to hold up our end, and they can start doing that tonight.
Yeah, in order for it to be a rivalry, you have to win some ball games, and Tennessee has a chance tonight for a signature win again under Bruce Pearl in his first year. Part of this ball game to watch, does Tennessee really want to push the tempo and run with Kentucky in this building? Bruce Pearl will have to coach with his guts tonight and figure that out as he goes.
Well, he has the number 2 scoring team in NCAA Division I, better than 80 points per game. We look at our Star Watch, presented by TD Waterhouse.
Chris Lofton for Tennessee, an outstanding guard. A former Kentucky Mr. Basketball returns home, making 3 3-point shots a game. And Patrick Sparks, in my opinion, Kentucky has been at their best when the ball is in his hands. He had 9 assists in their game at Florida on Saturday.
Lineups as they have been lately. Chris Lofton with C.J. Watson and Dane Bradshaw in the backcourt. Andre Patterson with Major Wingate up front for Tennessee. For Kentucky, Rajon Rondo joined by Sparks. Joe Crawford up front, Bobby Perry and Randolph Morris. Let's welcome the third member of our crew, Heather Cox.
Tennessee's Bruce Pearl has made no secret of his desire to return the Tennessee-Kentucky rivalry to the days when Ray Mears went toe-to-toe with Adolph Rupp. Well, his first bold step, resurrecting that vivid orange jacket that Coach Mears made so famous. A few weeks ago, Bruce Pearl called Coach Mears, asking him for his blessing and permission to wear that signature sport coat as a way to honor him in the geographic rivalry with both Kentucky and Vanderbilt. Coach Pearl said he'll only wear the statement piece when the Vols face those 2 schools, and told me he wears it with great pride and only hopes he can match the standard that was set by Coach Mears.
And Heather, here's a prediction. If he keeps winning, that orange jacket's going to become very common in Tennessee. The 200th meeting, it began February 16th, 1910. Kentucky dominated 81 out of 96 in Lexington. They've won 8 straight, 10 of the last 11. And Jimmy, no Volunteer player has ever beaten Tubby Smith and Kentucky. Tubby in his 9th year, 300th game as head coach. He has won at least the SEC East Division title each of his first 8 years. A ways to go to accomplish that this year. Tony Green, Carl Hess, Tom Eads, our officials. We're set to go.
The thing that jumps out to me about that orange blazer is you have to have a lot of confidence in yourself and a lot of guts to wear that thing. It stands out in the crowd.
Watson picked up by Patrick Sparks. Tennessee at just under 83 points per game, first in the SEC and second nationally.
Dave, Kentucky, they fixed their offense in the month of January, but in doing so, they lost their defense, and that's what they have to get back to. They gave up 95 points to Florida on Saturday.
Bradshaw started in, got it out to the corner for C.J. Watson, who, along with Lofton, at 15.7, the co-scoring leaders for the Vols.
When you see Tennessee jump in that full court press right off the bat, I like Kentucky with what they did. Throw the ball to half court. That is away from the strength of that Tennessee pressure.
Kentucky waiting patiently for Morris to offer himself down low. The refeed from Sparks, and there's the double team by Patterson. So Morris hits it from about 12.
Boy, great job, wasn't it, Morris dribbling out of the double team. Didn't try to force it with a pressure step through. Dribbled out of the pressure and got his shoulders squared up.
This is Major Wingate, 6'10", 250, for a Tennessee team that is starved for size.
And that signature baseline shuffle cut out of Tennessee. Track it back to the days of Tom Davis at Iowa and Gary Williams at Maryland right now.
Bradshaw misses, tapped out to Watson. And drifting out for the corner three. Bradshaw misses again, and out off Andre Patterson. The SEC East being led by the Vols by a game over Florida, 2 over Kentucky, Georgia, Vanderbilt, and South Carolina in the second division.
No one would have picked those standings to be like that on February the 7th before this season started. Not even Bruce Pearl himself.
Morris crowded on the drive, followed up and in, though, by Bobby Perry.
Well, that double team on Morris, not effective in stopping him from shooting, and right now it's also given offensive rebounding to Kentucky.
Kentucky preseason number 10, and the coaches told they have been unranked since their January 7th blowout loss at Kansas.
Tennessee's half-court offense is really pretty simple. 2 guards up top that will stay stationary, and then 3 guys across the baseline running just a continuous shuffle cut, a baseline 3-man rotation.
The offensive foul called on Andre Patterson. Bruce Pearl up to disagreeing. The only thing that would indicate that Tennessee would have this type of a jump in Bruce Pearl's first year is the fact that he has done this everywhere he's been, as Rondo misses his first shot.
Yeah, that and the fact that he inherited some good talent from Buzz Peterson. I mean, this is a club that won 6 games last year in the SEC, and you just knew they were on the verge of maybe doing something big, and Bruce Pearl has taken them to that level.
Lofton, big block by Morris. Picked up by Sparks, and Kentucky runs for the first time. Sparks is stripped by Watson. Number 2 in the SEC in steals, C.J. Watson. Second in Tennessee history in swiping the ball, as he does at the end of this block by Randolph Morris.
And Morris is really the only shot blocker that Kentucky has. They are more of a team that looks to take charges when guys drive to that rim.
Sparks, the transfer from Western Kentucky, starting his 104th consecutive game tonight, 8th longest streak in the country. Perry drifts out to the 3.
Yeah, your description is awfully good, Dave. He drifted off of that baseline cut and did a terrific job of getting in the vision of the passer, but it was his drift that got him the shot.
One thing Tennessee did not want to see the fans into it early. Wingate from Patterson for the slam. 6'10", Major Wingate, junior out of Florence, South Carolina.
That's what Wingate can do. He can score and he can defend. He's not a great rebounder for his size, but he can score and he can defend his spot.
Sparks really burned Tennessee in 3 meetings last year. 16 threes. High hook by Morris. Wouldn't stay. Patterson kicks it out. Tennessee runs for the first time. Kentucky gets back, and Crawford gets the strip. Sparks will get the breakaway.
Boy, great job by Kentucky to continue to pursue the basketball from behind. And if you're Tennessee in this building, you have to expect that and have a call, whether it's Wolf, Fox, whatever it is. You have to know Kentucky will play defense from behind in this building.
Bradshaw was at the point. He starts at power forward and then switches over to backup point guard. Maybe first player I can think of who's had that job description. Very odd combination for a swing man. The 3 not there by Watson. And tied up the rebound, Rondo and Wingate. Kentucky has the arrow. Kentucky has the hot start. 15:35 in the first half. Defense creating easy early offense for the Wildcats. Good start for the Kentucky Wildcats. They lead Tennessee 9-4. Heather Cox, something the Wildcats have not enjoyed all that often lately.
Not at all. In fact, all season, Kentucky's been a notoriously slow starting team. They were down 25-8 against Kansas, 25-12 against Indiana. But the fix, Tubby Smith admitted that a tip he received on his radio call-in show was a factor in the improved start the Wildcats have had in their last 2 games. A fan actually called into Tubby's radio show and suggested that the players do a 4-on-4 drill in the final minutes of the pregame warm-up. Tucky took the advice and has linked the better starts to the drill's physical contact. That has certainly continued today with a 9-4 start. But since when do you guys hear of a coach actually taking advice from a call-in fan? Who knew?
Never.
Well, but the guy calling in was C.M. Newton. That's why. No, it wasn't. I'm just kidding. But if you're the head coach of Kentucky, from being on this staff, you're going to get all kinds of advice from the fans, and you certainly have to filter all that stuff through.
Well, now you've got to stick with it because it works. Steele right in off the bench, Jawan Smith.
Well, if you float passes against this team in orange, they will rip and run to the other end. They average 10 a ball game right now.
Smith guarded by Sparks. Lofton and now Wingate on the other side.
There's that baseline shuffle. Those 3 guys just take turns shuffling off of each other.
Skip pass. Good ball movement. And Smith, who started the possession with the steal, ends it with the 3.
Well, wasn't that a great job to turn down a pretty good shot in the corner to get a better shot with the pass up top?
Smith hitting his 36th three-pointer of the year, second only to Lofton. A long way. Lofton's hit 63 of them.
And really, you see Tennessee defensively, a team that likes to get one hard trap in the full court. If that trap is not successful, they drop back and try to get awfully solid in the half court.
Well, Smith almost coming up with his second steal. And as many Kentucky possessions, knocks it out off the hands of Morris.
Davis' last possession. I'm going to talk about good ball movement. Watch him with a reverse pass across top, and then that's a good shot, but boom, that's a better shot. Boy, terrific job of knowing personnel and recognition of one more pass gets us a better look.
Rondo's inbounds pass stolen again by Smith, stolen right back by Morris. Jawan Smith taketh and giveth away. Wildcats by 4 again. Stanley Asumnu also in for the first time, as Patterson is followed up and in by Asumnu, the senior out of Houston.
Kentucky continues to break that full court pressure with passes to half court. That's the ideal way to break it.
That was almost ideal ball movement by Kentucky. Sparks hit Rondo, couldn't make a clean catch, and we'll take a seat.
Boy, the long arms right there. Patterson really bothered Rondo, but then Morris doesn't give up on the play because he knows Tennessee, a club that likes to get that ball, rip and run to the other end. At times, you can get a quick steal on them because they're a little careless those first couple of dribbles.
Crawford immediately attacking Smith, counted and one. Joe Crawford, sophomore from Detroit with his first 2.
Dave, he's really a finisher in the offense. I mean, this is a guy on 2 bounces, covers about 25 feet. I say he's a finisher because he only averages 1 assist every 26 minutes that he plays. So when he has that ball, he's thinking, get to the rim.
Coming off his first career double-double, 19 points, 10 boards at Florida. No three-point play. And again, Kentucky by 4. Morris almost sneaks up in time to wipe that one from Smith. Wildcats in a 2-3.
First time they've been in a 2-3.
Tennessee showing patience. Watson down the baseline. Smith over a double team. Crawford ahead off of Sparks, and he can't quite save it. Well, Rivalry Week presented by Cisco Systems continues next on ESPN. Number 2 Duke and J.J. Redick taking that short 8-mile drive to Chapel Hill, where Tyler Hansborough and the 24th ranked Tar Heels of North Carolina await. This game will be blacked out in ACC markets. Elsewhere, you can see it right after we finish up here in Lexington. Duke and Carolina.
Well, Bruce Pearl may very well be the coach of the year in this league, and Roy Williams may very well be the coach of the year in the ACC, huh? Well, all the talent he lost and have his team ranked right now, outstanding.
Pretty easy boats right now in both cases. Open 3, Smith. Jawan with a couple of threes and a couple of steals. in really just a couple of minutes off the bench for Bruce Pearl. Makes it a 1-point game. Ray Thomas in for the first time, and it's Morris off to a good start. 6 points to lead Kentucky, 6 of their first 15.
Yeah, Morris is really doing a good job of posting and then reposting with some passion tonight. He is demanding the basketball on the low block, something that he did not do the entire month of January on a consistent basis.
New matchup for Watson. Robbie Moss, senior from Hopkinsville, Kentucky's checked in. Patterson for a Sumnu offensive foul. Sheree Thomas draws it.
For Kentucky, awfully good about drawing charges. And Bruce Pearl talked to his club last night, and he said, guys, they are not a shot-blocking team. They are a take-a-charge team. When you catch the ball, don't take for granted and make habit moves with that basketball.
The one thing that's not surprising about where Tennessee is that Bruce Pearl's done this at both of his previous stops. As Thomas misses from the corner. Back out. Rondo had a very brief rest. And Crawford had an excellent look. Patterson fouled on the rebound. Bruce Pearl coaching in his 50th consecutive game where his team has either been in first place or within one game of first place in his division. To him, it's old hat. 15-12 Kentucky. Now time for ESPNU's Pride of the Program. And the spotlight tonight, Murray State. Jim Valvano and NC State may always be known as Big Dance Cinderellas, but in 1988, they were upended by another team wearing the glass slipper, the 14th seeded Murray State Racers. Murray State would then nearly defeat eventual national champion Kansas in the next round. And more of ESPNU's Pride of the Program features available on mobile ESPN.
I love Kentucky breaking the pressure right now early of Tennessee, that full court pressure. You're going to see how they're doing it. Here's the first option. There's the second option. This is the third option. But look what they do. You're trying to throw long against this full court press. The strength of Tennessee is that 84 to 94 foot mark. Kentucky doing a marvelous job of just throwing over the top of the press and getting that ball down the floor.
Pace more suited to Kentucky than Tennessee so far. Wingate, as the bodies go flying, gets his second basket inside.
He really moves well. When those guards are handling that ball, Wingate doesn't stop and watch the action. He's always drifting around, getting in vision.
1 point game again. Rondo with only one shot and no points so far. That's the surprise early for the Cats. He averages a team leading 13.5. Tennessee has so far erased him from the offense. At that time, couldn't get the shot over Jordan Howell, but Crawford hits the three.
Yeah, but it was triggered by Rondo. Rondo got just enough help from Crawford's guy to get the penetrating pitch.
Patterson with the running floater. Perfectly sealed rebound that time, as Sheree Thomas had perfect position on Wingate. Rondo almost walks. Moss inside, intended for Raquelin Sims. Let's check in with Heather.
Coach Pearl said he knew Kentucky was going to go for the knockout early. He anticipated that aggressive start. So during the timeout, he talked about relieving that pressure by looking for backdoor opportunities. Specifically, Jimmy, look for C.J. Watson to go for the early breaks on the backdoor. Do you think that's going to work against Kentucky's defense, Jimmy?
Well, you have to have some built-in pressure releases, and that's what he's given his kids in that timeout, is something to counter perimeter. Backdoor cuts are effective, especially if you walk your guy higher. So we'll see if that develops.
Quick catch and shoot three-pointer. Lofton with his first three. So actually all three of the scoring leaders, Lofton and Watson, each with only one bucket. Rondo still scoreless for Kentucky. Points have come elsewhere. And a Tennessee foul. Jordan Howell with his first.
Well, Lofton has a sweet stroke, and he'll take some shots at times where if you're a coach, you say, I'm not sure you should have taken that shot, but he makes tough threes, and he makes some tough twos. You just got a lot of guts in that kid.
Patterson holds off Sims. Moss, likewise, same treatment from Andre Patterson. A deflection and an out-and-out rejection. And both teams having a hard time getting the ball inbounds. If you notice that, they're right up against the time limit almost every time they've got to go inbounds. Kentucky finally in the hands of Rondo. Thomas after offering the screen. Now he's got Patterson to deal with. And it'll be over and back. Rondo took his eyes off with a Wildcat turnover. Their fourth rivalry week presented by Cisco Systems continues tomorrow night here on ESPN. Number 21 Indiana with Marco Killingsworth taking on the Wisconsin Badgers. Coverage beginning at 7 Eastern. Then number 1 UConn taking on Jerry McNamara and the Syracuse Orange. That one's at 9 Eastern, and that one's available in high definition on ESPN HD.
I think right now in a head-to-head matchup, Duke would beat UConn on a neutral floor. I'm not so sure in a month from now that would be the case because UConn has the best talent in college basketball.
Wingate with 6. Tennessee full court pressure. Trying to force the pace. It's been a Kentucky pace so far. Watson sneaking up behind the ball creates another Kentucky turnover.
And David, all happened because Kentucky inbounded that ball from the free throw line and lower. And that guy then brought the ball up the floor with a lot of pressure from behind and forced an errant pass. Kentucky's much better off throwing that ball to half court in this ball game.
First Tennessee lead since the first basket of the game. As we approach 9 minutes to go in the half. Lofton, tough three. He had Moss dripped all over him.
You know, watching him on film, he's a better contested three-point shooter than a wide-open three-point shooter. That's really rare.
Moss wanting to come right back and answer with the three. And the foul is on Watson, his first.
This is a guy that's making 3.3 shots a game, and he has just enough of a bounce game to get himself open and get himself some space. There you saw him just with that one bounce, and he stayed low and then back dribble, boom, right up into his shot. He has great elevation and jumps the same height every time on his jumper.
People have been asking Bruce Pearl, well, are you going to have a special talk with Chris Lofton before he goes and plays at Kentucky? And he finally got tired of answering the question with no. So he finally went up to Chris and said, okay, everybody's asking me, am I going to have a special talk with you before you play at Kentucky? This is the talk. We just had it. Seems to have worked just fine. Heather?
You know that Lofton was Mr. Basketball 2 years ago, but neither Kentucky nor Louisville had room for him on his roster, so he headed to Tennessee. In 3 career games against Kentucky, Lofton is averaging 15 points on 40% three-point shooting. Now, when Buzz Peterson was fired, Lofton admitted he debated leaving until one incident changed his mind. On Bruce Pearl's second day on the job, Lofton was late for study table. The next day, he was running at 5 a.m. as punishment and said that was the defining moment when he decided to stay, saying that's exactly what we need, guys.
Yeah, how about that? I mean, probably in the back of Bruce Pearl's mind was the possibility this may chase off this kid, and it did, in fact, the opposite.
Well, Bruce Pearl is building a program. He's not worried about one guy, and it's amazing how he gambled the dice and did that 5 o'clock run, and that's exactly what kept Lofton on his campus. Look at this kid shoot that ball.
Lofton keeping Tennessee on top with 3 threes. Second straight year, the top three-point shooter in the SEC.
You have to caboose Lofton at all times. You've got to lock and trail him, and by lock, I mean physically lock your hand on part of his jersey, because if he gets any space at all, that thing's up and in.
Wildcats pound it low. Morris against 3 orange jerseys. Lofton the rebound and starts the break. But does not force it. 3 Wildcats back waiting. Bradshaw had nothing for Morris. Out for the 3. And Juwan Smith had it rim out. He's already got 2 3-pointers. The threes falling as they have all year for Tennessee. Kentucky, after its hot start, has gone a bit cold. Down to 47% for the game. So again, inside to Morris and fouled by Wingate, his first. Kentucky controlling things early. Lofton bringing Tennessee back, and they lead by 4.
Back in Lexington, Tennessee, up 25-21. They've done a great job of overloading the zone that Kentucky has thrown at him a couple of times down. Watch Lofton. He's just going to make a circle cut here to the corner and going to slide a guy up. And when the ball's reversed, that's when they have overloaded the zone. Now, there's 2 guys on this side of the floor. Reverse it, You got two guys being guarded by one, spot up and knock it down. But it all started with that cut by the corner from Lofton from up top to the corner. Overload the zone, reverse it, get yourself an open look.
Chris Lofton's hit all three of his three-pointers, all in this period of the game, where Tennessee has come from behind it now with a 4-point lead. Randolph Morris for Kentucky on the line. Tennessee has yet to get a free throw, and it may be a while, because Kentucky has committed only one foul. 16 fouls, meanwhile, by the Vols.
Interesting watching Tubby Smith coach during the month of January. An hour and a half of the 2-hour practice would be spent on offense. I come in here yesterday, and an hour and a half of the 2-hour practice was spent on defense. Sign of a young team that just can't carry things over from 1 month to the next.
Looking for a game where they do both well.
Yeah.
They don't want the offense to be great, but at the expense of the defense. Wingate, point-blank miss. Bradshaw with his first two off the jump stop in the middle of the paint. Dave Odom of South Carolina says he thinks he is the SEC MVP for his versatility. Can play power forward where he starts, can move over and play backup point guard. And let's check in right now for a Sports Center 30 at 30 update with Dave Revson.
Good, Dave. Authorities in New Jersey have filed a criminal complaint against Coyotes assistant Rick Tocchet, alleging that Tocchet funded a sports gambling ring. The AP reports that Janet Jones, Wayne Gretzky's wife, is among those said to have placed bets in that sports gambling ring. And Jets GM Terry Bradway has stepped down. He has been replaced by assistant GM Mike Tannenbaum. Bradway is going to stay on with the team as a consultant. Much more on both of these stories coming up on Sports Center at 11 Eastern, anytime on ESPN News.
All right, Dave. Patrick Sparks commits just the second Kentucky team foul and puts Major Wingate, a 60% free throw shooter, on the line for the first two volunteer free throws of the night.
And this kid is so important to Tennessee's club with the guards of Lofton and Watson and Bradshaw and Smith. They have to have a guy in the middle that can at least hold his own in a lot of areas, and Wingate does it. Look at those numbers. Again, the rebounding numbers you would like to be better, but because those 11 points, it gives a good balance now to that Tennessee offense.
Wingate at 7. Inbound. What a steal by Bradshaw. Wingate not expecting that pass, still managed to handle it and get it back to C.J. Watson.
Now Tennessee has adjusted their full court press. They realize Kentucky doing a lot of damage by throwing over the top of the pressure. They've backed their pressure up. Tennessee was waiting on it.
Lofton still perfect from 3. 4 for 4. Tennessee by 10. And now they've got the pressure by the Vols to deal with.
They have not made Lofton dribble into his shot one time in this ball game.
Tubby Smith going deeper onto his bench. Brandon Stockton, senior out of Glasgow, Kentucky, at 5'9". Rondo, who is still scoreless. Out for the two-pointer, long two by Robbie Moss, who was fouled on a 3, hit all 3 free throws, now adds that one. Under the 6-minute mark in the half, Tennessee by 8.
Back to the baseline shuffle cut. 3 guys, the guards are high up top. Creates a lot of good driving lanes.
Great save by Watson after forcing the pass to Wingate. Strip, breakaway, Rondo, finally on the board.
He's really a terrific freelance guard. I say freelance in both offense and defense. When you just let that guy kind of have the reins and let him play, I think that's when he's at his best.
Fans into it again after Rondo's steal and jam. And the Caps have made it a 6-point game.
Look how high Tennessee's guards are, out around flirting with that timeline. That's by design. That's another pressure release to stretch Kentucky.
Shot clock under 10. Off Bradshaw. Makes another save, but only 4 to shoot. He'll launch from 30 and miss everything. Fans have been waiting for this. They finally get it, and they're still letting Kentucky hear about it.
Rondo at 6'1", has a long wingspan and really big hands and a great anticipator. He leads Kentucky with 7 defensive deflections a ball game, and deflections for Kentucky would be obviously a deflection, a defensive rebound, a steal, getting on the floor and getting part of that basketball. Very active defender.
Rondo came in with 45 steals. Next highest Wildcat total was 18 by Robbie Moss. How much he means to their defense. Patterson that time with the swipe. And Lofton surrounded, triple team from what's been such a dangerous spot for him, and he throws it away. It's Moss who comes up with this steal. Long three is wide left by Moss, and here comes Watson. C.J. Watson with just his second basket. Tennessee back up by 8.
When Bobby Perry not strong with a basketball, and you have to be strong against this guys in orange. They're in constant pursuit of a 50-50 basketball.
Did you see what Watson almost did? He almost got the strip, the timeout call, and then landed out of bounds. He missed it by just a fraction of a second.
You know, we saw some NBA scouts before the game. Danny Ainge went up. I think Watson's a guy that'll find his way onto a roster. He does too many things too well.
When we're done, Duke and Carolina, maybe the most prominent rivalry going in sports right now. It'll be 9 Eastern here on ESPN. Rivalry Week presented by Cisco Systems. In everywhere but the ACC markets, which will be blacked out. And Rondo back to back. Back within 6, the Wildcats at the 4-minute mark.
We see a couple of great freshmen in Duke and Carolina. Obviously, Tyler Hansbrough for North Carolina, maybe the national freshman of the year. And Josh McRoberts right there with him possibly.
Wow. Ryan Childress, who was 1 for 7 for the season beyond the three-point line. Right in off the bench. No hesitation. Drains that one. Crawford answers with 2.
Was that a great job by Crawford? He had the defender riding his hip for about 60 feet. He just kept him on the hip with that left-hand dribble.
Howell misses the 3. Rondo 2-on-1. Over Howell and short. And Rondo almost saves his own rebound. Out of bounds, 3:20 in the half. Tennessee has seen the pace pick up much more to their liking.
Also, we'll hear from both Rick Tocchet and Wayne Gretzky, guys.
Well, I would like to hear from Rick Tocchet today. What a strange story that is. Tennessee by 7, 36-29 with 3:20 to go in the first half. With Jimmy Dykes and Heather Cox, Dave Barnett had a sold-out Rupp Arena, 24,000 or thereabouts in downtown Lexington. Kentucky controlled until about the 10-minute mark, and then Tennessee got 4 threes and as many tries from Chris Lofton as they took command of the game. And inside, they get Andre Patterson, the senior out of L.A., the UCLA transfer for his first 2.
Well, great job. When it coming out of a timeout to get a set play designed to go against pressure. You knew Kentucky would come out of the timeout playing on their toes, and they just got burned.
Brandon Stockton with a 3. Just the 3rd 3 for the Wildcats. Let's check in with Heather.
Well, Dave, Tennessee's Dane Bradshaw on the bench with a bruised right hip. He has ice on it right now. He is expected to return, hopefully, in this first half. It happened on this play as he was trying to save the ball, going out of bounds. Fell hard on that right hip. As I mentioned, currently on the bench, but they are hoping for his return.
You know, I think Bradshaw, that's a big loss if he doesn't come back, but he is the poster boy for Tennessee basketball and Bruce Pearl, and not only now, but in the future as well, because he's a kid that absolutely gets the most out of his ability. He's made for a pressing team because he understands the importance of effort. Just a very versatile guy, something that Bruce Pearl will go after over the years as long as he's the head volunteer.
After the Asumnu free throws, Lofton to steal, finally misses a 3. He had hit his first 4, and Bobby Perry rebounds with 2:36 in the half.
If you don't fake the pass to make the pass against Tennessee, you will have a bundle load of turnovers.
Brandon Stockton getting a good long stretch of playing time here in the first half. 5'9" senior out of Glasgow, Kentucky, guarded by Lofton. Rondo against Asumnu.
Nice.
And the lob inside for the easy 2. Randolph Morris has 8.
Just 3 good passes, good spacing. Morris read it well. His guy was trying to halfway front, so he opened up the back end and called for the basketball.
Under the 2-minute mark. And Kentucky's cut the biggest lead in half. Bruce Pearl wants timeout. So a minute 54 in the first half at Rupp Arena. 39-34, number 14, Tennessee.
Tennessee holding on to a 39-34 lead. And good half-court offense by Kentucky that last possession. Watch Randolph Morris right here. And notice his positioning. Hold it right there, guys. Look where he is. He posts up above the block. He was in that area of the floor the entire time. I mean, if you get below that block, you don't have the room back behind you for that over-the-top pass. So where Morris initially flashed to, above the block, is what made that play.
Good scoring half for Morris. However, business as usual in one category, assists. He had no assists for the entire season until the Florida game, and he had 6, his career high. In that one game, his entire season's total.
And Rondo had none.
Yeah. Neither one made any sense. 6 on the shot clock. Watson. Online but long. And Stockton the board. Stockton playing for just the 11th time this year. He's averaged about 6 minutes per appearance. Close to that already here tonight. Perry. And the tip in. With good position that time, Rondo.
You know, with Stockton in the ball game, he is now the point guard. And the other thing it does is it allows Rondo the freedom to attack the offensive glass. Rondo is so long and so good at reading rebounds. That's another reason to send him to the 2-guard spot for that reason right there. He can't do that if he's playing the point.
Closest the Wildcats have been in a while. For a slow start. Rondo pretty close to where he would normally be in an average first half, or under a minute, 17 on the shot clock. Bradshaw, despite the bruised hip, back in. Watson with a height disadvantage against Perry. And the baseline jumper comes up short for Asumnu, and now Kentucky may get the last shot here. First of all, Tubby Smith calls time with 37.2 seconds in the half.
I like the timeout by Tubby Smith. His club is not always real fluid on the offensive end, and he knows the importance of a momentum basket going into the half.
Story for Tennessee, Chris Lofton, second straight year leading the SEC in three-point shooting. Hit his first 4 tonight.
Well, David, again, that's the only time he had to dribble into his shot, and that was just one bounce where he backed up into it. But again, I think he makes as many tough threes in this league as anyone. I mean, defenders are in his face, but he's still, because of his explosion at 6'2", he just has just enough height to get that shot over the outstretched defender's arms.
And I think the reason Bruce Pearl was not worried about Lofton returning home to Kentucky is he played 10 high school games here. 2003 state final, he had 39 9-3-pointers in that game. His Mason County High School team beat Tubby Smith's son's Brian's Lexington Catholic team for the Sweet 16 title that year. So playing in Rupp Arena before big crowds, pretty much old hat for Chris Lofton, and he looks anything but intimidated here tonight.
Tubby Smith and Rick Pitino have both said that's one of the mistakes they made in the evaluation of recruiting was not taking Chris Lofton.
Stockton dribbling out some time, 24 and a half. His first three-pointer since December 10th against Indiana.
Tennessee showed zone coming out of the timeout, but they go back to man. This is a critical possession in this ball game.
Rondo splits the trap, almost earns himself a three-point play. Stanley Asumnu with his second foul.
That's a guy just making a play. Rondo, in my opinion, I think he over-dribbles at times when he has the ball in his hands as a point, but he can make a play and get himself to the stripe, which, by the way, he's not Mr. Efficient. 53% right now in SEC games.
22 with 5 steals against Florida. Jimmy said first time he's ever gone assist-free for a game. But capable of leading this team in rebounds. He's 6'1". He plays next to a 6'10" Randolph Morris. Rondo averages 2 more rebounds per game than Morris. He's had as many as 19 against Iowa, an all-time Kentucky record for a guard. He's got that versatility in his game. No free throw here. Watson with 6 seconds, and Tennessee looks for the last shot. But dribbling on the sideline, Lofton turns it over with 4.8. And Kentucky will have a shot to go into the half-court locker room tied.
Rondo would love to catch this ball going that direction right there, and we'll see if it can happen, because that's what he has himself set up for. If he can catch the ball going the direction I just drew, he can get all the way to the rim easily in 4.8.
Jordan Howell checking in for Watson. I think they just announced they changed that last foul from Basumnu to Watson.
There he is.
Rondo with 3 seconds. Stockton takes the last shot of the half and can't quite get it up. So Tennessee looking to end an 8-game losing streak in the series. They want to become a rivalry the way it was back in the 70s. Bruce Pearl announcing that the day he took over the head coaching job in Knoxville. They lead by 3. Let's check in with Heather.
Coach, no current Tennessee player has ever won here in Rupp Arena. How do you help this team keep its composure and the lead in the second half?
Heather, I think you just focus on the process, not the outcome. One of the things that we get, well, what did we do to get here? I thought the tempo was in our favor. When it was up, we were at our best. We got to find ways offensively and defensively to keep it that way.
All right, best of luck in the second. Dave, back to you.
All right, halftime at Rupp Arena, 39-36 Tennessee. The UPS halftime report now. We join Dave Repson and Jay Billis. Rivalry Week presented by Cisco Systems. Rupp Arena, Lexington, Tennessee by 3. 4 years ago yesterday, the last time a Tennessee team beat a Kentucky team. As we welcome you back, Dave Barnett, Jimmy Dykes. No Tennessee player has ever beaten this Kentucky team, but they're halfway there.
I think it's interesting what Bruce Pearl said to Heather as he left the floor. I think he's comfortable with this game going back and forth. He was not positive this afternoon. He wanted to run with Kentucky in this building. I think for the next 20 minutes, he wants this thing going as fast as he can get it.
Well, shooting in the first half was identical, except for the three-point shooting. Both teams 15 of 29 from the field. The difference was Tennessee's three-point marksmanship, 4 of those by Chris Lofton, and 16-6 points off turnovers, although the Vols did not score. And 4 didn't hit a field goal in the last 3:03. Our UBS halftime stats.
Tennessee with 21 points from beyond the arc, and Kentucky with only 9. Everything else is pretty even in this ball game.
Bradshaw inbounds. Tennessee to start the second half. Number 14 team in the country, number 1 in the SEC East at 7-1. 2 games ahead of the Wildcats. Eight straight victories in this series for the Kentucky club. As Wingate misses twice, once on the point-blank tip, and it's controlled by Randolph Morris. Tennessee down as many as 10 at one point in the first half. Rondo, a little bit slow to get to his offensive game tonight. And that three-pointer rebounded by the Vols.
Probably not the shot Tubby Smith wanted to start the second half. His 5th or 6th best three-point shooter, jacking one up.
No question who Tennessee's best is. It's Lofton. Tried to back out against Joe Crawford. Instead, it's in to Wingate again, and this time he's fouled. I had a technical issue when we tried to show you our UBS halftime stats, so here they are again. Both teams 15 of 29 from the field, and the difference is the 7 Tennessee three-pointers, 4 of those by Chris Lofton.
When Tennessee, again, stealing that basketball, but then converting those steals into points, they are plus 10 in the points off turnovers department.
Any free throw by Major Wingate is a bonus. He shoots just 60% from out there.
Bruce Pearl told me when he first got the job, he actually stayed on campus on some days that he probably should have been out recruiting, but he wanted to lift weights with his guys, run with his guys, and make sure that their heartbeat was the same as his heartbeat. And boy, I think that is a great move for a guy early with his ball club.
Well, speaking of lifting weights, Tennessee, of course, lacks nothing in the way of facilities, and they had a basketball weightlifting room. He took one look at it and ordered it locked. And he said, my guys are going to lift with the football guys. I want them to develop as much as they can. Don't worry about the old adage that weightlifting hurts a basketball player's shot. He says that's ridiculous. C.J. Watson drives in. And it's Tennessee with the first 4 of the second half.
C.J. Watson, the most experienced point guard in the SEC. Again, he just great with that assist-to-turnover ratio. He can make tough twos. He really understands the rhythm of the game.
Tubby Smith with a quick second half timeout. Down 43-36. Tennessee scores the first 4 points of the second half. Tubby Smith calls a quick timeout, and Jimmy looks, I think, more upset than at any point in the first half, even when his team was down by 10.
Well, he knows the importance of this ball game. To give up an easy 2 could cost you the entire thing. It's a transition defense that has him very upset. Are inside the play, you're going to see the orange jerseys secure the miss of Morris. Now watch what happens. They get this basketball, plenty of time for 13 and White, particularly Perry, to sprint, but he lets his guy beat him down the floor, and then he's not in position to help because Perry didn't sprint to the other end. Look what happened in that timeout. Boy, he's laying into his kids because he talked about it yesterday and today. Transition defense, the #1 thing in this ball game, and it just cost him.
Let's check in with Heather.
Well, coming out of the break, guys, Tubby Smith was very candid and, yes, very frustrated. I said, what concerns you the most? He said everything. Then he talked about defense, just like Jimmy said. He said, we can't allow Tennessee to shoot 52%, and we've got to find a way to stop Lofton. We've got to make him put the ball on the floor, always have somebody on him. Guys, that trend continued during that last timeout. It was all about transition D. This pressure from Tennessee certainly causing a lot of troubles in this fast up-tempo pace for Kentucky.
Now, one of the keys at the half, 16-6, Tennessee's advantage in points off turnovers. After the tie-up, Kentucky has the arrow. Morris crowded into an air ball. Rebound, Perry. Crawford finally. 9 for Crawford, who leads all Wildcat scorers. 1 more than Morris, 3 more than Rondo.
Now, Bruce Pearl, he relies on the tempo of the game to get his 82 points a ball game. They are not great in the half court, so they have to manufacture looks, transition baskets, getting to the free throw stripe, climbing on the offensive glass. That's them.
Watson, not quite on the high floater. Crawford challenged by Watson for the rebound, and Watson had it, but his foot hit the end line. Kentucky ball. Don't forget, Rivalry Week presented by Cisco Systems continues next. Duke at Carolina, #2 against #24. Blacked out in the ACC markets. Elsewhere, you will see Josh McRoberts and Tyler Hansbrough go at it.
Well, some would say that if McRoberts was playing at North Carolina in that system, he would have equal numbers. I think they're pretty matched talent-wise. Hansbrough, in my opinion, is the orneriest big guy in college basketball, and he's only a freshman. I say that as a compliment to him.
Compliment Sparks for the feed to Randolph Morris. First Wildcat to double figures, and they close back within 3.
I think he needs to get as many touches as he can get. They have turned him down a handful of times in this ball game when he's been open.
This crowd at Rupp Arena has been in it only sporadically. Tennessee has had something like that happen every time the crowd tries to become a factor. Not always that spectacular, but they've always had something to quiet down the 24,000.
Boy, Rondo just like a blanket on Lofton, but the lift fake right there. Boy, Rondo, he's very fortunate if he didn't pull a muscle. The way that leg got caught up on the shoulder of Lofton. But look at that, he just sold the ball fake. And because Lofton is such a terrific shooter, Rondo bit. He gets himself the bucket and to the free throw stripe.
Have you ever seen a foul like that?
No.
Foot to the face?
Foot to the face.
3-point play. Lofton's first 2-point basket. By far the toughest he's had tonight. Can't imagine that he's had too many tougher all year. And then he chases down Sparks and almost strips in. 3-pointer Rondo. Thomas knocks it out, but Watson gets to it before Crawford.
Tennessee will live with that shot all game long. Rondo shooting a 3 after 1 pass.
Juwan Smith, no basket, offensive foul. Smith, as he did in the first half, looking for his shot first thing when he comes in. He hit 2 quick threes in the first half. This one he won't get.
Again, Kentucky is not a block-your-shot ball club. They are a position, slide your feet, take a charge, disciplined defensive team. You have to expect that when you drive that ball to the rim. Stop and pop.
Full court pressure has caused Kentucky some problems. Not here. Rondo takes it all the way.
David, now Kentucky back to beating the pressure by throwing over the top of it to half court.
Patterson looking over the top, wanted to hit Wingate. Instead, it's Lofton. That was close to a goaltend, but it's clean for Morris. Sparks ahead. Again, it's Rondo. And a good foul by Andre Patterson.
Well, that's why you put Rondo at the 2 and Patrick Sparks at the 1, because Rondo is a jet without that basketball filling the lane. There was a questionable call on goaltending that didn't get called that triggered the entire play. The ball is still going up. I think that thing was starting on its way down. So Kentucky gets a break, and there's what you do. You put Sparks at the 1 and let Rondo run the floor at the 2, and there's the result. Speed gets Rondo to the free throw strike.
Rondo, not a great free throw shooter, 63%. Danny Ainge is here scouting the Celtics. He was telling us before the game that the USA basketball under-21 team, which he saw last summer, by far the best player on the team was Rajon Rondo.
Well, less structure in that system in the summer because they don't have all the months to put in plays and set stuff. So again, Rondo, in my opinion, is a freelance guard, and that's what he will probably be best at in the NBA. He may be a much better NBA guard than he is a college guard, in my opinion, because of it.
Wingate spins out of the trap and turns it over. Offensive foul hooking Tennessee right where they were at the half, up by 3. Tennessee by 3, 15:54 to go. Dave Barnett with Jimmy Dykes and Heather Cox. Rivalry Week presented by Cisco Systems. And a series that's been dominated of late by Kentucky. Bruce Pearl, the brand new head coach of the Vols, vowing when he took that job, one of the first orders of business was to make this a rivalry again, the way it was, say, 30, 35 years ago. First step, you got to win, because Kentucky had taken 8 straight, 10 of 11, coming into tonight. Tennessee's led by as many as 10, that with about 6.5 minutes to go in the first half. Again, Kentucky taking almost all the allotted time before getting the inbounds pass.
And Tennessee 7-1 in SEC play halfway through. Now, it's a new system into this league, much like when Patino and Nolan Richardson at Arkansas, their first time through. So now there are more films out there, and Tennessee will have a much more difficult second half than the first half. But they've had the advantage up to this point.
Ray Thomas misses inside. Back down come the ball. C.J. Watson. Stanley Asundu has come in off Pearl's bench, and Watson open for a corner 3. Offensive rebound, Juwan Smith. And then Bradshaw goes up for the tip in, and he draws the contact. Number 2 on Morris. Our Star Watch, Lofton, more than living up to expectations, and Sparks has not really had an impact yet.
Well, he hasn't, and with only 2 points, that's crucial, because this is a guy, look at that. If he just scores 6 points or more, Kentucky's 10-3, and they struggle when he doesn't. And right now, he's struggling on the offensive end. You can read it in his face.
Average is 8.2. Only 1 out of 2 shots so far for Patrick Sparks.
You know, watching Tennessee, they're effective when the game slows down and playing fast. They've won games in the 60s and the 80s. That's why I think they can certainly get to the Sweet 16 this year watching them play.
Well, especially when they get the offensive rebounds they're getting. And Smith is fouled by Crawford. Fans and Crawford thinking that was a tie-up. It'll be Joe Crawford's second.
I say that about Tennessee, Dave, because of their pressure, their full court press, their effort plays, because they can shoot that basketball. And think about it. This is a club, if they win their first game in the tournament, you have less than 24 hours to prepare for that second game. They have an advantage much like Arkansas used to and UAB under Mike Anderson once they get into that March Madness deal.
Or Wisconsin-Milwaukee last year, which surprised its way into the Sweet 16. Bruce Pearl coached his way right out of the job in Milwaukee and into the one in Knoxville.
And the importance of this game for Tennessee is they really have a chance. They could play their way as high as a number 2 seed overall. If they falter a little bit down the stretch, they could drop to a 5 or 6, and that's a big difference in that opening round game.
Crawford followed up on Morris. 12 for Randolph Morris. Suspended the first 14 games of the season. It was originally going to be the entire year, but he repaid the expenses he incurred while he was looking into the NBA draft. Came to his senses after he was not picked, decided to come back to Lexington. 3 missed in the corner by Smith. Another offensive rebound by Tennessee. And Bradshaw always seems to be around the loose balls, doesn't he?
You know what? The Tennessee guards, they run to about the 10 to 11-foot mark on a 3-point shot, knowing that's where the majority of the missed 3 is going to bounce to. Kentucky is getting sucked in too close to the rim with those long balls out of Tennessee.
Wingate draws the foul. Upset with himself because he didn't make the layup and turned it into a 3-point opportunity. Tennessee leading the SEC East at 7-1, 16-3 overall. A game ahead of Florida. Tennessee, of course, the first to beat then number 2 Florida. And Kentucky is 2 games back.
Well, again, Tennessee's playing, in my opinion, to improve their seed. They've done yeoman's work already this year by beating Texas and Florida and played Memphis to the wire. 3 teams that are legitimate Final Four contenders. And for Kentucky, if the tournament started today, yes, they would be in. But they need another signature win, much like their win against West Virginia, on their resume right now. They got a chance to get one tonight.
Most top 6 teams Tennessee has knocked off in a single year since 1976-77. The Bernie and Ernie Club beat 4 top 6 teams that year.
Dave, I look at this league as a whole right now. I think if the tournament selection was going out tonight, certainly 5 teams, Florida, Tennessee, LSU, Kentucky, and Alabama, have the resume wins to get in that large bid, with Arkansas, Vanderbilt, and now Georgia trying to knock on the door and maybe play their way in as well.
Brandon Stockton's check back in. Asumnu handles it on the break. Quickly out to Lofton. Wow. Deadly from 3. He hit his first 4 and the first Tennessee 3 of the second half.
And because he jumps the same height every time, he can shoot it from 20 and 26 with the same amount of ease.
But on the other hand, the Vols have yet to come up with an answer for Randolph Morris. He leads the Wildcats with 14.
I don't think Kentucky can finish this game in a 3-point shootout. It's got to be the strength of Morris getting touches first, setting up the second option, the 3 for Kentucky.
Great back cut by Bradshaw. Better read by Morris. Rondo to Stockton and back. And Rondo not forcing it. Subject of a couple of Tubby tirades in the first half. Under control in the second half. Since the Tubby timeout, about a minute and a half into the half.
Morris has to keep working. He can't just post 1 time per possession in this game. He's got to post, repost, post again.
7 to shoot. Rondo one-on-one with Lofton. Puts it up off the glass and off the run. And the rebound chased down by Lofton.
Morris never touched the ball until he got his paw on the offensive rebound. That's not good.
Bradshaw with a handle. Held off by Morris. Tennessee with a great sense of when not to run, when it's not there.
Yeah, don't they, though, especially in front of their bench right now? Bruce Pearl is the orchestrator for all the musicians on the floor in front of his bench. He is calling it out with precision.
Fans wanted a hooking foul on Bradshaw. They get instead 2 by Asumnu. And they well could have called that on Bradshaw. Same call had been issued a moment ago as Morris finally finds the handle in the backcourt and gets a timeout call. Bruce Pearl, to look at him, you think it's an intra-squad scrimmage. And his team seems to play with that corresponding lack of pressure, at least outwardly.
There's Lofton again. And again, watch his feet when he shoots that basketball. Every time they elevate, boom, as high as he can into his jump shot. But then immediately following, Kentucky comes down. And notice where Morris caught the ball right underneath the rim. And they talked to Morris yesterday about don't run to the free throw stripe, run all the way to the rim. And that time it paid off. And you talk about a guy with orange passion throughout his veins. This guy has it, and he's got it going full speed.
Rivalry Week presented by Cisco Systems continuing tomorrow night. ESPN has the Indiana-Wisconsin matchup, and the Badgers and Hoosiers have both been slumping a bit lately. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern on ESPN, and the number 1 UConn against Syracuse at 9 Eastern. That one is available in high definition on ESPN HD.
Well, the majority of games on our air from here on out will have significant meaning, just like the one coming up, Duke and Carolina. Duke trying to hang on to a number 1 seed of their own, just like UConn is tomorrow night. But a lot of games left to play.
Well, these two tonight just giving you a nice taste of what is to follow from Chapel Hill. As Sims misses the layup. Rick Halen just off the bench. Junior from Vallejo, California. Bradshaw Colfort got it from Patterson. Jordan Howell in 5 first-half minutes, Jimmy, had 4 assists. Kind of an unnoticed contribution. He's always looking for somebody else's shot. In this case, another 3 by Lofton. Finally, there was a rebound available off a Lofton 3, and Robbie Moss ended up with it.
Without Morris for Kentucky and Wingate for Tennessee on the floor, it's a small man's game.
Stockton bailed out by Sims. Stockton getting a long look in the first half at his first 3 since the Indiana game back on December 10th. Moss on the drive. Jack Nyson scores. He's got 7 off the bench.
And there was a small guy driving that ball to the paint and making a play. Tennessee stays with a baseline shuffle. Look at the 3 guys underneath. Just take turns, shuffle cutting off of one another. If you fall asleep for a second, you'll give up a layup.
Non-stop concentration if you're defending against it.
Again, goes back to Bruce Pearl's connection to Tom Davis and his connection to Gary Williams. Those are the 3 guys that have used it awfully well.
Well, Howell got free. He missed the 3-pointer. And this will be on Patterson going over the back for the rebound. And time for a SportsCenter 30 at 30 update from Dave Repson.
Thank you, Dave. Authorities in New Jersey have filed a criminal complaint against Coyotes assistant coach Rick Tocchet. The complaint alleges that Tocchet funded a sports gambling ring. Authorities allege about a half-dozen NHL players placed bets, emphasized they were not on hockey. The AP reports among those said to have placed bets, Janet Jones, the wife of Coyotes coach Wayne Gretzky. Tocchet will be on the Coyotes bench for tonight's game with Chicago. You can hear from both Tocchet and Gretzky on SportsCenter, 11 Eastern. Of course, ESPN News with continuous coverage. Back out to the game next.
Tennessee by 3, 9:34 to go. Bruce Pearl in his first year, strong candidate for National Coach of the Year, has already exceeded expectations. And that's impossible for anyone coaching Kentucky. You can meet expectations, but the last time Tubby Smith did that was 1998.
Yeah, the national championship is when you meet expectations here. And I've been a part of this staff, and the pressure just mounts with every loss. That's how the season is judged. It's not by how many wins, it's by how many losses is what the Big Blue Nation looks at. And what a hire for Tennessee. And not only for Tennessee, but for the league. That's a great hire for the SEC, Bruce Pearl, with his enthusiasm and his passion. He will elevate Tennessee and the league at the same time.
The last 3 years, Kentucky, the winningest team in college basketball, 87 wins, best percentage, 8-5-3, 51-6 against the SEC. Anywhere else, people would be overwhelmingly delighted. But there's not been a trip to the Final Four since that 98 title. And Tennessee gets another 3 by Lofton after the 5-second call. His 6th three-pointer. Morris right back. Count it. 16 for Randolph Morris.
You know, it's amazing to me that Lofton continues to get loose on the offensive end. And then Kentucky just runs it right up the backside of the orange jerseys, and Morris again running all the way to the rim. That's important. If this kid gives up at the free throw stripe, he doesn't get himself to the free throw stripe right now. So Morris's ability to run all the way to the rim has paid off 2 or 3 times in the second half.
Scoring excellence. Averages 12.8, already at 16. But 4 rebounds. I keep looking out there. He's 6'10", 266. How does he only have 5 rebounds per game? How does Rondo out-rebound him by 2 per game?
Yeah, Morris averages 1 offensive rebound every 14 minutes that he plays. I mean, that's an amazing stat. And you have to ID number 5 in orange, and right now Stockton is chasing him. Just stay locked and attached. That's too much space.
Catches, fires NBA range. Chris Lofton, the way he started the game. He made his first 4 threes. Now he's hit 3 straight. 24 of Tennessee's 58. And they're back up by 7. This has been working well for the Cats. Started inside for Morris. And then refeed, in this case, to Perry. And Wingate is a little bit too close. He picks up his second.
Dave, you have to mirror the path that Lofton is on. Why in the world would Stockton try to go underneath that screen? Wingate is setting a screen, and watch Stockton try to go underneath it. Watch right here. See how he goes underneath? As soon as he went underneath the screen, Lofton's eyes got as big as Rupp Arena. Catch and drill it on him, man. You've got to caboose that guy all over the floor.
That last one was where Danny Ainge used to shoot him back in the day. Foul on the inbounds pass.
Same amount of confidence that Ainge used to shoot him with, too.
Never lacking in that. Lofton picks up his first foul on the inbounds pass. And Sheree Thomas will be going to the line.
Lofton is averaging less than 2 free throw attempts a game. I mean, everything about him, before you ever watch him play, tells you he is a catch and shoot specialist. The only way you guard a catch and shoot guy is to caboose for 40 minutes.
Crawford rather than Thomas. And this is the front end. Lofton there to grab the board. Jostled by Morris. Moss the steal in the backcourt. Robbie Moss, 9 off the bench. Ryan Childress, who hit just his second 3-pointer of the season in the first half. Back in, and Thomas fouls Watson. His second.
Thomas took a bad angle. He went to double up the basketball, but he took a bad angle when he did it.
Patrick Sparks averaged 16.3 in the 3 meetings with Tennessee last year. Just 2 so far tonight. Great cut and feed. Smith with the finish.
Well, that is a sign of a well-coached ball club to take that ball from the out-of-bounds spot and score at the rim.
Crawford right back. It's Tennessee's pace, but Crawford converts and has a shot at 3. 7:50 remaining. Tennessee has led most of the way by as many as 10. It's 60-55.
J.J. Redick and Duke 7-0 against ranked teams this season. They'll look to run it to 8-0 next as they battle our rival North Carolina, subject to blackout in some areas. Tip time 9:05 Eastern, Dave.
Those two who have combined for 30 trips to the Final Four, 7 national titles. North Carolina last year picking up his 4th. 1 more than Duke. Here, not bad as a lead-in. Tennessee trying to beat Kentucky for the first time since February 6th of 2002, and Bruce Pearl's first shot. He leads 60-55. W. Smith, who this time about a week ago, people were saying, well, maybe he's finally turned things around. They put together 5 straight SEC wins, 3 of which happened after they trailed by double digits.
Well, I think from where they had to come from, Tubby has turned things around, winning 5 out of 6 coming into tonight. You realize it took a career night from Torian Green and Joakim Noah to knock off Kentucky at Florida on Saturday night. Again, a huge chance for Tennessee to improve their seed overall in the NCAA tournament tonight. And Kentucky needs another signature win. That is what's on the line right now.
Catch and shoot 3, no good for Watson. After a Crawford 3-point play, he gets the board quickly up to Thomas. Lost control of it. Morris is there again. And as much trouble as Lofton is causing the Cats, that's what Morris is doing to the balls.
And it's all hustle points out of Morris. He's having to hustle and get his own stuff in transition because Kentucky's not finding him in a true half court right now.
Smith at air ball 3. There's Childress and Wingate. Tennessee continues to crash the offensive board. This is what happens when you don't get one. Robbie Moss to tie it up for Kentucky. Bruce Pearl earned under Tom Davis, who was renowned for sending 4 to the offensive glass, and it can be a dangerous way to live.
Well, as much as Randolph Morris has been criticized at times, time and time again, he has done this. Run all the way to the rim, and if he doesn't get the first look, he's there to clean up the first look. Just a tremendous effort out of Morris tonight in this ball game. And then Kentucky again in this building, transition points are awfully important. The crowd just explodes when they do it.
Time for a game track presented by Cisco Systems. 10 threes for Tennessee and a career-high 7 by Chris Lofton. Kentucky dominating in the paint. Either team shooting well from the line. So this has shaped up to, can Kentucky handle Chris Lofton on about as hot a night as he's had? And he looks like he played back in those high school days in this building where he had state championship performances. And can Tennessee find an answer somehow for Randolph Morris?
Yeah, that's what's going to have to be decided the remaining 6:45 of this ball game. I think the game has more importance for Kentucky than it does for Tennessee. Tennessee at 7-1 with a 14 national ranking. Again, if the tournament started tonight, they are definitely in. Kentucky's in, but they need some more signature wins over the next 8 ball games.
A little bit of a late foul here. This will be 3 on Morris. Let's check in with Heather.
Well, guys, Jimmy was just talking about how he thinks that this game's much more important for Kentucky. Believe it or not, that's exactly what Bruce Pearl just told his team. He pointed down to the Kentucky bench and said, hey, all the pressure is on them. We need to remember that. We're in their house. We need to come away with the win by playing loose, playing defense, going for the loose balls. All the little things are going to make the difference in the last 6.5 minutes, guys.
And that's what Tubby Smith can never do. He can never say, hey, we're the underdogs here. Nobody expects us to win, because that never happens when you're the head coach of the Wildcats.
Well, I like the words of wisdom that Heather picked up on in that huddle. Bruce telling his kids that the pressure's on Kentucky. So what did he do? He took the pressure off of his kids. He knows he's got a group that has never won at this level over a period of 4 or 5 months. Bruce Pearl has. So he's taking the pressure off of his kids by telling them that in the timeout.
Unforced turnover. Crawford losing the dribble. Turnovers actually about even. 12 by Kentucky, 11 by Tennessee. Andre Patterson out for Bradshaw. And Bradshaw knows better than to challenge Morris. Rondo there to clear the miss by Watson.
Now, will Kentucky get Morris a touch? Wingate's out of the ball game, so he's being guarded by a 6'7" guy, but it doesn't matter.
No, don't take that. Robbie Moss's 30th three-pointer of the year. First Kentucky lead since 18-17, midway through the first half.
Remember, Tennessee has won at Texas. They played Memphis at Memphis as well as you can play them. They should not get rattled no matter how loud Rupp Arena gets. At least that's what Bruce Pearl's hoping for. That they just got a little rattled there.
Wow, Moss knifed in for the steal. Watson stole it right back, and Lofton hit another one. Not this time. Rebounded by Watson. And Juwan Smith thought about hoisting one right back up. It's so obvious Tennessee shoots without any thought of getting in trouble. I think they may only get in trouble if they pass up an open shot. That's the level of confidence they play with. One of the few times tonight coming from behind. Lofton all the way through the defense. Patterson controls. Can't hit. Tip no. Lofton tried to tip in. Morris finally there. And that's as good a defensive sequence as the Wildcats have had tonight.
Now another possession that Wingate at 6'11" is not on the floor to defend Morris. Kentucky didn't get him a touch last time. Will they run a play for Morris on this possession? I think you got to at least try.
Oh, no, he seems to be doing better when he's there to clean up garbage. Offensive foul. The officials looking for the hooking elbow. One called each way, this time on Thomas, and that is Chiray's third.
Wow, a hooking foul away from the ball. The hold right there is what they get Thomas for. He gets those arms back and gains an advantage by doing it, and that's a proper call.
Players should be on notice now. They've called it each way. Nearing the 4-minute mark. Kentucky going for its 9th straight over Tennessee. Patterson over the Wildcat interior defense. Only his second basket. Ball's back in the lead. Racing before the ball defense gets set. It's a Perry three. And after an in and out, Patterson races down to the other end of the floor. Watson brings it up. Shots still flying with a lot of confidence, not quite the accuracy of the first half. Tennessee at 41% now, 48% for Kentucky.
Bruce Pearl did not want that shot out of Watson. It was too quick. On the road, nursing a 1-point lead with under 4 to go.
And Tubby Smith calls his next to last timeout with 3:32 to go.
Boy, a couple of possessions ago, though, Andre Patterson did a great job within the offense to step out as a screener and then watch him slip it. Boom, right there. Goes right to the rim. Morris loses contact with both vision and feel. And as soon as Patterson realized the guy guarding me has lost contact with me, what has the coach told me? Boom, go right to the rim. 2 points because of it.
February 6, 2002. Last time a Tennessee team beat a Kentucky team. Rivalry week presented by Cisco Systems. Continuing next here as number 2 Duke takes on number 24 North Carolina. This matchup in Chapel Hill, blacked out in the ACC markets. The rest of you will see it immediately after our conclusion here. We have 3:32 to go.
Well, Dave, if North Carolina can handle the pressure, that chest-to-chest defense that Duke's going to throw at him, that could be a heck of a ball game because, again, Hansbrough on the interior, I know he's a true freshman, but he's tough enough and ornery enough to maybe give Sheldon Williams all he wants in that ball game.
Carolina controls the series. They've combined for 30 Final Four, 7 national championships, and they are the number 2 and number 4 winningest programs in the history of basketball. Number 1, you're watching them, Kentucky, going for win number 1,920 tonight. Carolina is second. Duke is number 4. Morris. Well, they run an inbounds play for him, Jimmy. And he's fouled by Bradshaw. Morris will come back with the free throws, trying to give Kentucky the lead back in a back and forth conclusion. We return to Rupp Arena in a moment.
Dave Revson in our Sports Center in-game studios. Number 4 Villanova trailed St. Joe's by a dozen at the break. Making a run, though, here. An 8-0 run to start the second half. Allen Ray with the jam. St. Joe's lead cut to 4. Don't forget, coming up for most of you, Tyler Hansbrough leading Carolina in scoring and rebounding. It's number 2 Duke, number 24 North Carolina. That's next, Dave.
How's tonight for classic basketball venues? The Palestra right now on ESPN2, St. Joe's Villanova, Rupp Arena, its 30th year hosting Kentucky basketball here, and we'll go from here to the Dean Dome in Chapel Hill. That's all we have on our menu tonight.
Not much, is it? We're at 24,000 plus in this building tonight. And I think they know also that this is a big possibility for Kentucky. They need this win. Tennessee would love to have it. Kentucky needs to have it. That's what's at stake, the remaining 3+ in this ball game.
Morris had missed his first 3 free throws, drains those 2. Kentucky back in front. Morris with 20 to lead the Cats. Patterson, wide open 3. Watson, rebounded by Perry, and the Vols have missed 9 of their last 10 shots over the last 5 minutes.
And Kentucky has cleaned up the majority of those misses. Tennessee doing damage early on offensive boards, not lately.
Now we see how much Tennessee believes. And all the good things that have happened to them in the first 19 games of the Pearl era sunk in enough that they can win here for the first time in over 7 years. And let's check in with Heather.
During the last huddle, no surprise, Tubby Smith is going with what got him here. Morris with 20 points. So during that huddle, he said, hey, we need to go strong inside, get that three-point play. He also talked about hustling on the defensive glass, hoping that Tennessee is one and done offensively. Just one opportunity each possession, guys.
At 20 by Randolph Morris, a season high for him.
What Tubby's emphasizing is the formula to win ball games. Pound that thing inside and clean up the miss.
Juwan Smith, crowded. Wingate probably thought he was fouled. Somehow got that one to go. He's got 12. And the inbounds pass almost stolen as Watson goes over the sideline. I think he's going to get up okay with the help of Lofton.
Yeah, that's the mentality, though, that Bruce Pearl has brought to his program. It all started with Bruce Pearl lifting weights with his own guys and running laps. The effort for 40 minutes is now in place in those orange uniforms.
We should have been more worried about the fan.
Ugh.
The unexpected target of C.J. Watson's attempted save. I think he's okay, too. It has been over 7 years since the Vols have left Rupp Arena winners. Overall, 8 straight, 10 of the last 11 have gone to the Cats.
Bruce Pearl said when he got the job, the goal is to beat Kentucky. And they're 2 minutes away from having that chance in his first shot at him as the head coach.
Make this a rivalry again. Rondo misses the three. Tipped out, touch last, it looked like by Crawford. Tennessee ball down 1. Rondo went for the 3 and the 2-point lead.
See, and I think Rondo has to turn that shot down. Tennessee, they are inviting him to shoot that thing. He's a 25% three-point shooter. That's not his strength.
So the Vols look to add to the lead with a minute 43. Rondo went for the swipe from behind. Lofton couldn't get it, and Chris Lofton with 26 now. Tennessee by 3.
And he avoided the charge. He listened to his coach yesterday and today. Kentucky is a team that takes charges. Lofton penetrated, stopped on a dime, and elevated straight up. Credit that to Bruce Pearl and his staff.
Robbie Moss for 3. Rebound by Juwan Smith. And a quick timeout with a minute 17. Let's check into the studio with Dave Revson.
Dave, do not forget, Rivalry Week rolls on with perhaps the greatest rivalry in college basketball next. It's number 2 Duke and Sheldon Williams against number 24 North Carolina, subject to blackout in some areas. That's up next.
Well, that's a fixture in Rivalry Week, year in, year out. And if this is any indication, Tennessee-Kentucky is going to be just like that. We should look forward to this every week.
They've watched Lofton penetrate with the ball. Coach told me they are a team of charges, so he doesn't try to get all the way to the rim. Stop and elevate. And but this is what he has done all night long. The release, rotation, boom, and the result. I'm telling you what, this kid can flat out shoot that basketball, averaging over 3 made threes per ball game. Kentucky has not done a good job of identifying him or caboosing him throughout this ball game, and he's burning the nets because of it.
Lofton, the sophomore from Maysville, Kentucky, has tied his career high with 7 3-pointers. Third Kentucky Mr. Basketball to play at Tennessee. Allen Houston was one, Jermaine Brown was the other. So the Vols with the ball up 3, 70 seconds to go.
Throughout Tubby's career, he's had the opportunity to tell his team, we've got to have a stop. And they just got one right there because of the rotation.
Boy, and Tennessee had some superb ball movement, and it looked like Patterson was going to get a layup out of it.
But that last-minute rotation by Kentucky, when they had to have a stop, they got one.
3-pointers, the reason Tennessee has this lead. Overall, they've been outshot by the Wildcats. Tennessee don't look for a 3 here.
Tennessee didn't get Wingate in the ball game, and it could cost him on a rebound.
Saved by Bradshaw off the missed 3, and Lofton beats Rondo, who tried to get his body in front and almost did. And now it is really tough to overcome a 5-point lead when you're shooting threes the way Kentucky is. They don't get a shot off. Watson the steal. Smith decides let's use some clock rather than let them foul me, or even worse, miss the layup. And so Crawford stops the clock with 32.6.
Well, the former Mr. Kentucky in high school basketball has come back to Rupp Arena and interrupted a party by the Wildcats. I mean, he has done it in all areas. He has scored just enough two-point baskets to match his three-point arsenals. And finally, the active hands of Tennessee is what could possibly win this ball game in the last 2 minutes. Kentucky not strong with the ball when they had to be.
Juwan Smith 0 for 3 at the line. Door still open slightly. 29 seconds to go. Moss needed that three. Long rebound out to Lofton. Lofton races Moss to the hoop. Rattles it in. Three-point opportunity. Ball game. Barring an absolute miracle, Tennessee will leave Rupp Arena with a victory for the first time since January of '99. Who's enjoying this more than Chris Lofton's parents?
Well, Bruce Pearl's goal when he got the job was to become the least liked coach in other SEC arenas. And he's got a huge win on his belt tonight by doing this. What a job by Bruce Pearl. Just another step up the ladder for possible National Coach of the Year consideration for this guy.
Duke and Carolina will follow, and they will tip at 9:05 Eastern here on ESPN. And again, subject to blackout of the ACC markets.
Dave, I talked about Tennessee trying to improve their seed. They've got a lot of games left, but this is a club that could, no question, could go all the way up to as high as a #2 seed. They've already played 3 teams that are legit Final Four contenders and knocked off 2 of them. We're talking about wins over Texas and Florida, and they played Memphis their tails off the entire ball game. Well, what an outstanding job and a huge punch of orange enthusiasm in that Tennessee program with the hiring of Bruce Pearl.
And the most impressive thing, I think, tonight is the fact that there was a point where they could have buckled. They missed 9 out of 10 shots at one point. Kentucky had taken the lead back, and they kept riding the confidence infused by Bruce Pearl and just kept firing it up, kept getting the steals, kept getting the breakaways, as Rondo does here. And the last Tubby Smith timeout call was 17 seconds.
You know, I go back to what Heather Cox told us in the huddle that Bruce said, the pressure's on Kentucky. The pressure's on Kentucky. From that point on, his kids played fluid basketball.
Duke and Carolina moments away. Kentucky now goes to Vanderbilt. They have Georgia here. They go to South Carolina. Ole Miss here. 2 tough wins February 25th, March 1st at LSU. And then they get to go to Knoxville before closing March 5th here against the Gators. Tennessee, meanwhile, which is about to go to 17-3 and 8-1 in the SEC East. This would be their 6th consecutive win in conference play. They have a trip to Athens coming up, home against Auburn. Then the road is really going to kick in for this club. Well, at Alabama, at Florida, at Vanderbilt, waiting for them.
Yeah, there's a lot of ats there. But if you're Bruce Pearl and you think as positive as that guy does, he tells his team, hey, man, that's to our favor. All that does is give us a chance to win more games on the road in the SEC and improve our RPI, our strength of schedule, ultimately improve our seed come March.
Yeah, tonight, the beginning of 4 out of 5 games on the road, 5 of their final 8 regular season games away from Knoxville. Again, Duke, Carolina tipping off at 5 after the hour. And we will send you there, barring a miraculous Wildcat rally, in plenty of time to catch the opening tip from the Dean Dome. Patrick Sparks only 2 points tonight and has watched virtually the entire second half. Moss trying to cut in front of Watson, come away with the steal. So Tennessee now can look at a blowout win in Austin over Texas. First team to beat Florida. First Tennessee team to win at Kentucky in over 7 years. And still most of February and all of March still to go.
And my point about Tennessee, once they get into the NCAA tournament, the higher their seed is, the better chance they have of winning their first round game. Then all of a sudden, 36 to 48 hours later, you're playing Tennessee again, and it's an unorthodox style. That pressing style, that three ball flying form, Wingate on the interior. They are a very, very difficult second round matchup.
C.J. Watson, 9 points. Experience the Wildcats have not lived through since February 6th of 2002. None of the current volunteers had ever beaten a Kentucky team before tonight. Chris Lofton with a new career high, 31 points and a career high tying 7 3-pointers. He was the story offensively for Tennessee, and in fitting fashion, they end it with a steal. And the Volunteers have their first win in Rupp Arena in better than 7 years. Bruce Pearl 1-0 against Tubby Smith. When he took the job in Knoxville, he said, we need to make the Tennessee-Kentucky series a rivalry again. Jimmy, mission accomplished.
Yeah, it is now an official rivalry, and Bruce Pearl also moves up the ladder as far as possible National Coach of the Year. The job he done is magnificent. Right there with what Chris Lofton did tonight as a player coming home. Wow.
75-67 Tennessee. Our final Carolina-Duke coming up. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Jimmy Dykes, Heather Cox, her entire ESPN crew, Dave Barnett from Lexington. Let's send you to Brad Nessler and Dickie V in Chapel Hill.